Hi, everybody. I am Tara Saylor. I am a Collaboration Services Manager at BCLP, and I'm also a member of the Technology Content Committee at ILTA. And with me today, I've got several other of the ILTA volunteers, and we are all people who work with software for a living. And when we're not working with software, apparently we like to get together and talk about software. And so this session is going to be a rundown of some of the tools that we find convenient and that we really like working with ourselves. Some of them are going to be much more end user, some of them are going to be enterprise software, some of them are going to be pretty heavy lifting administrative tools. But we should have a good mix of software that we're excited about and we think you should check out depending on what your needs are. So with me, I'm going to start with you, Mark. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Mark Manoukian. I'm the IT director for Kegler, Brown, Hill, and Ritter in Columbus, Ohio. We're about 70 attorneys. We've got a couple offices.
And Erik, over to you.
Yeah, I am Erik Miller, Innovation Manager at Taft, Stettinius, and Hollister, or just Taft, based out of Cincinnati, Ohio, and we've got a lot of attorneys.
And how about you, Thomas?
Hi, I'm Thomas Witherspoon. I'm a senior system support engineer at Sidley, Austin.
Are you also in Ohio or?
No, I'm in Dallas.
Yeah, I'm in Kansas. So anyway, let's get ourselves going. And Erik, we've got you up first with software called Audacity.
Yeah, Audacity. The first thing is, like everyone loves to hear, it is free. So that's the best part of the software. And what it really is basically like a sound remixing, sound recording app that you can use. It does a lot more than that. I know Thomas does more things on there, but I use it all the time to edit audio files. So I've done a video recording of myself, or maybe I just want to, put some speech over some sort of GIF or something like that. I'll use it to edit those things. It's pretty simple to use. And again, it's free, which is a perk. I know Thomas has done more, so I'll let him talk about it.
So it does have support for VST3 plugins, which are kind of one of the industry standards for extra tools that bolt on. And you can make it into a fully functional digital audio workstation. It's not good at recording a whole lot of things at once, so it's not necessarily something you want to take to band practice and record everyone at once. But it does have all the features necessary to put together any piece of music or content that you'd want to put together from an audio perspective. You could do a whole podcast in it, mix it, balance it out, even master it, and get all your levels maintained so you sound consistently all the way through. It's a really powerful tool for something being completely free.
Yeah, though, there are still lots of great free tools and technology out there. I think whenever we talk about free audio tools, I always then jump over to video, which is Handbrake, which is another classic free piece of software that, it's been around for a long, long time, but it still gets the job done in very effective ways. Thomas, we have you up next with another, I think, classic piece of software, which is Treesize.
Yeah, and Treesize is one that when you run it against a folder or drive or network share, it builds a graphical representation of how big the file structure is. And so you can go, oh, it's especially useful for trying to find where you have a whole bunch of gunk hidden. If I've got a disk or a drive that's down to 100 meg, 200 meg free, I'm trying to figure out what's consuming all of it. It will draw the larger physical folders as bigger boxes and the smaller boxes. You can start drilling down into finding, oh, I have 3 old OSTs still saved in my app data folder that could really stand to be deleted. And voila, I suddenly have 15 gig free.
And it sounds like this is something that you would download, install. It's like a local program. It's not a cloud-based version.
Correct. It is a local application. Older versions of it were very portable. You could just drop the executable itself on a hard drive and run it, and make it really convenient for throwing on a flash drive and running around the office. Newer versions have a thicker install, but it's still very lightweight. I believe there's a minimal cost associated with it, but it's one of those it's worth every penny to have in your budget. On top of that, it can also take those directories that it's doing and generate an Excel report out of it. If you wanted to hand it off to somebody else, go, hey, mark up what you want me to move, and I'll take care of it for you.
Yes, I'm thinking of some network folders that could use that treatment.
A lot of network shares could use that treatment.
I believe, Thomas, you mean all network shares.
Yes, yeah, that's honestly.
Yeah. No, some are dark and scary and should never be looked at again. So Mark, the next one for you I have is MXToolbox.
Okay, so MXToolbox, it's a website, and it's I use it to troubleshoot DNS, specifically email. If you're having email problems, and you, especially in transmission, a lot of times it may have to do with the DNS records that are posted regarding a particular domain. And so you can use the MXToolbox website to dig down into the what the DNS records for that particular website, see what their see what the various parties' IP addresses are for their mail servers. And that's also how things like SPF records, DMARC, and DKIM records are also posted. And those are important for email validating the destination and the source of email when it comes to spam filtering and quarantining and things like that. And so that's the original purpose of MXToolbox, is email troubleshooting. But because that's just one type of DNS record, they also you can look at the entirety of a domain's DNS records, not just the DNS records that go to email. So that's the name of the website's a little misleading in that context, and it's just there are a lot of ways that you can look up those DNS records, but it's got a really nice interface. It's really it provides a lot of detail and explanation. So it's not only good for people like me who sometimes have to troubleshoot this stuff, but it's also instructive for people who don't necessarily understand this stuff and want to know more. And again, not just about email records, but other records. What's the difference between a C name and an A record? And a C name is an alias. So it's really a great tool for anybody that has to work with this stuff or wants to know more about it. And again, it's MXToolbox, and that's the website name. So.
And no one has ever had to troubleshoot DNS ever in the history of technology, right?
I know.
I have a coworker who actually likes DNS, and I'm forever grateful for that.
It's somebody made the remark, it's always DNS, and it's like it's always DNS or it's cables. So a broken cable. Anyway.
No, so we've got another one up for you, which sounds like fun. It is Microsoft Power Toys. Sorry, Power Toys, not
yeah, it's
Power
called
Tools.
Power Toys. And so Power Toys is it's a collection of tools that Microsoft releases them, and it's it's not a paid tool, it's a free tool, it's optional. Some days I wonder why they don't just include it in Microsoft Windows moving forward. But it's got a suite of just little add-ins that go to highly repetitive or time-consuming tasks that we in IT often perform. It does things like adds a right-click menu in Windows Explorer, so that if you're working with an image, you just right-click on the image, and there's an image resizer option. I can't tell you how many times, how often I use that, and it's just small, medium, large, or custom, and it just saves me the trouble of having to, I do in 2 clicks what otherwise takes something like 10 clicks, and maybe I have to open it in some image viewer and then just choose save it as to a smaller image. The point is, it's little things, but it just takes them and makes them like wicked fast. And again, it's a suite of different utilities in there. One of them is like there's a Keep Awake, which it has a really cool little symbol of a coffee cup, and it keeps my computer awake when I need it. And I almost feel like conflicted talking about it, because if I found out if any one of my employees, colleagues here at Kegler Brown were using this, I'd tell them stop doing that. That's a, but no, I do it. So it's also got a tool called Fancy Zones, which lets you break up your ginormous monitor, which I do have a single monitor. It's the size of a TV. And Fancy Zones, for example, lets you emulate multiple monitors. I don't know if it quite emulates multiple monitors, but it's something much more sophisticated than, for example, the built-in ability to snap different applications or windows to different parts of your screen. So yeah, I use the suite of tools and Power Toys frequently, and I love it. And it really is pretty low maintenance. Every once in a while, I get a little bubble that pops up, says, "Hey, do you want to update it?" And I say yes. So
Easy and effective sounds like right the kind of thing that we need more of.
yeah.
I think, Erik, we're over to you with a bigger and more powerful tool this time, but also one that does a whole lot of things, which is Camtasia.
Yeah, correct. Camtasia, it is a licensed, basically video recording and all sorts of other types of recording software. So like for instance, we use it to record training videos or to record, right? Like here's like a GIF that I want to put up in a PowerPoint that we're running, or some sort of looping video. It's got built-in recording. You can separate the audio and do some of the stuff that Audacity can do just with your single audio in there. Add in all sorts of effects if you want to. Anything along those kind of lines. But it can get pretty complex based off of what you want to do. But we found that like their training was pretty useful on that as well. But everything we have video related, we use Camtasia for, because it's pretty handy to use and is definitely produces a nice output. But it is licensed, just as a heads up.
And I think it's also really robust as far as what you can export out of it. It's not
Yep.
locking you into any one thing. There's a lot of formats depending.
There's like 15 formats that you can pick from.
Awesome. I am actually up next, and the tool that I want to tell everyone about is a new one that we've just started using. It's a software called Sidley. And as you would imagine with a name like Sidley, it is used to move things back and forth between platforms. We are using it right now to really automate and streamline our HiQ administrative, as we hit the end of the life cycle and we're archiving things off into our cold storage or over to iManage because, the clients don't need those records anymore. And it just does a really nice job of moving things from point A to point B. And, there's a lot of different tools that do that, but Sidley is the one we found that works best with some of the nuances of HiQ. And obviously that's going to be enterprise software. I don't use HiQ too much in my day-to-day life. But I don't use Microsoft too much in my day-to-day life, or iManage either, but it is a really nice set of tools. It works with iManage, it works with HiQ, as I've mentioned, it works with Microsoft, and we've been really happy using that over the last couple months and with everything it does. Thomas, we are back to you now with Fiddler Classic.
Right. So Telerik Software put out a piece of software years ago called Fiddler Classic. There is an updated version called Fiddler Everywhere, which is a paid subscription type of cloud-based version of Fiddler. But Fiddler Classic is kind of a combination of the classic Wireshark plus Procmon, which we all struggled to get our head around and understand and use effectively. And I still need to spend about 8 hours of training understanding Wireshark properly. Fiddler Classic does the same type of capture, condenses it down. It's pretty easy to drive, allows you to decrypt HTTPS traffic, which is highly useful for trying to troubleshoot issues with Outlook and whatnot. And it's kind of become the default tool of choice for uploading logs to Microsoft. So it's definitely one that if you're trying to troubleshoot an issue, you're not quite sure what's going on at the guts level, it's a good one to dig into and see more what's going on a PC.
Very useful. Erik, we are back to you with Inkscape.
Yeah, Inkscape is a vector imaging software. It is also paid again. But if you want to do something with an image that isn't like I want to go full CAD on it or something, Inkscape is what we use. Right, you can flip images, break them apart, pull chunks out of them, resize them to your heart's content. I think our most common use case is pulling vendor logos from websites, making them transparent, and then putting them into presentations or like into our tool list or something like that. But it's incredibly powerful. It has, I mean, I'm looking at it right now and there's like 85 submenus within submenus. You can do, if you can want to do something with an image, Inkscape will be able to do it for you. It's incredibly powerful and has been incredibly useful in any source of imaging stuff that we've been doing.
Sounds like it's pretty powerful, but it's also easy enough to use that you're ready to jump in and start doing things with it.
Yeah, so if you want to do basic, I'll put air quotes around basic, right? You're like, I want to resize it, I want to make it transparent. That's pretty easy to use. But you can get really crazy and get down to like, I want to see every single pixel and like mess with them, which feel free to do.
Yeah, I don't need to get that deep into pictures these days, but yeah, that does sound handy. I am up next with software called DeepL, and it is something I actually do use both on my own phone and some of my own use, and then we use it at the office as well. And what it is translation software. And we work in, my firm is international, and we have lots of files that are coming in with different languages. And the software at DeepL has done the best job that we found for translating things, specifically legal documents. You know, there are a lot of different pieces of software out there that do translations these days, but we're talking about specialized language and specialized wording and things. A recent example, we were talking to a company who is based in the Netherlands, and so they sent us some GDPR documentation, or some SOX compliance documentation, actually not GDPR, but it was all in Dutch, and we could put it into DeepL, feel confident with both the translation that we got out of it, as well as because we have the paid version, it is meeting all of the regulatory and the security things that we have around the firm, and it does a nice job of doing that basic translate. I do have to also, on the translation topic, give a quick shout out to the translation that you can get real time out of tools like Zoom and with Teams Pro these days. We've been playing with that some a little bit, just it's not going to be as good as a human translator. It's not going to be as thorough as a human translation. But if you're attending a webinar and it's in a language that is not your first language, it is a really great just kind of tool to help you keep track of what's going on. It does a decent job. I did discover that Teams does not like my French accent in the slightest, but it really does a decent job of giving you a gist in that real-time translation. And Zoom does it just as well as Teams does. Okay, Mark, I think we are over to you with Winget.
Oh, I love Winget. So, and some of that has to do with my experience with, Linux and package managers. So it's a package manager, which, um, there was a time when, for example, Bill Gates said that, something like, PowerShell was going to be a better command line interface than a better Unix than Unix. I mean, he literally said that. And some of the things he was talking about was the command line interface. And Winget is it is like it's a command line tool to contact a repository, reach out, pull down a piece of software, and install it. And again, that comes from my background. My appreciation for that comes from my background working in Linux. Command lines can be very powerful. One of the reasons we like using a command line is that you can script it, you can roll it up, and the you know if you're working with one computer, yeah, you can use a graphic user interface. If you're an IT director or somebody who's managing a fleet and you want to make sure you want to automate it so that that it's fast, B, it's consistent. You love using a command line, and Winget is a great tool for that. It will reach out and connect to what's known as a repository. Right now, I think Microsoft has the only repository or public repository that that Winget will talk to. The Winget that's available for Winget to talk to. You can set up your own repository if you want, and it's the concepts are not, or the technicalities of it are not complicated. It's just a tool that we want you to know that is out there that you can use, and that that the concept of a repository is still new to a lot of people who historically work with Microsoft Windows. So that's the get in Winget, is that, use this tool. If you're not familiar with it, go look it up, read about it, learn to use the command line to install software from internet hosted repositories. And it'll make your life better.
So Mark, am I correctly hearing that what you're saying is you like it because it makes Windows act less like Windows and more like a real operating system?
Yeah. That's unfortunately that's arguably a theme to my remarks. Back in the day when we were doing this with Linux and Unix, it's like, oh, this is. Yeah, you got to learn how to type, and you got to learn the syntax of the commands, but if you do it a lot, you're going to remember it. So.
And you can do some heavy lifting and real work.
Really, really heavy lifting. Not just the heavy lifting of the individual task, but then at scale too. So.
That sounds useful. And so we are over then to our last piece of software that comes with not just one plus, but two. So this is going to be Notepad++.
Right. And, we've all used Notepad as kind of our default text editor for years and just kind of suffered through it. With more scripting languages being available for Windows, as Mark referenced, Windows realized it needed to catch up to the Nix world. Syntax highlighting became more and more important. Certainly PowerShell's ISE builds in a lot of syntax highlighting, but it's only useful for PowerShell commands. It can't recognize other file types. Notepad++ kind of fills that gap for Windows. It's freeware software. You install it, and it basically has cascading style sheet support for dozens of scripting languages and does syntax highlighting kind of based off the file type. So you open up your PowerShell file, edit it in there just as if you were in the ISE, but you don't have some of that ISE overhead going on, and you can run it. As well as if you flip over to, I'm going to insert some Python, it can pick up on that. It's not available for Mac, but there is a Mac equivalent in TextMate, which does basically the same thing. So the Macs are not left out in the cold entirely. They're just out in the breeze.
You allow Macs on your network?
You can't get away from Mac entirely in 2025.
That's true. I'm actually I've been around computers so long that it used to make a difference which one you were on, and I went Mac back then, and they had to coax me back over to Windows. So, and now I'm doing SharePoint all the time. So, look what happens. So that is our wrap up for things that we love. But Mark, I think you were going to tell people where they could find out some more, quick
Sure.
great software.
So are we talking about the session, the ILTA session?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So there's a session at ILTA, word of mouth. I haven't, please double check the schedule when they publish it. But I've been told it's at Thursday at 1:30 p.m. The name of the session is something like 30 tools in 60 minutes. And so look for that session. Double check the schedule.
And yeah, and I know for people who aren't going to be at ILTACon or, have been pulled into other sessions at that time, they do make things available afterwards. We hope, we get excited about talking about software. So if we get good feedback about this, if people tell us that they found it valuable, we are already starting our list for future conversations about more software we love, which is a really nice problem to have. Usually I have to say, I can probably sit around and tell you about software I don't love just as much. So it's nice to shine a light on
Yeah.
the good ones for a change. Thomas, Erik, Mark, any closing thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I know we have a very big bag of tricks. There are a bunch of different pieces of software that do very specific things, which are essential when you need them. We didn't even talk about sysinternals, so we'll save that for later.
Excellent. Thank you for your software thoughts, and thank you to everybody who's listened. We hope you found this valuable, and talk to you soon. Bye.